My dear child, in the quiet sanctuary of this moment, I am reaching across the infinite distance between heaven and earth to touch your spirit with a revelation that will transform everything you have believed about your life and your future. What I am about to speak into your heart carries the weight of eternal purpose and the tenderness of a father who has been preparing this encounter since before the foundations of the world were laid. I am preparing your soul and your heart for something magnificent that you cannot yet comprehend with your natural understanding. The struggles you have endured were not random suffering inflicted by an indifferent universe. They were the careful cultivation of soil that is now ready to receive seeds of abundance that will produce harvests beyond your most ambitious imagination. Every tear that fell from your eyes watered ground that is about to burst forth with blessing. Every prayer that seemed to disappear into silence was actually being stored in heavenly reservoirs that are now ready to overflow into your experience. Listen carefully to what I am declaring over your life in this sacred moment. The season of preparation is transitioning into the season of manifestation. What has been forming in invisible dimensions is about to break through into visible reality. The waiting that has tested your patience was not delay, but divine timing, orchestrating circumstances that your limited perspective could not perceive. Everything has been moving toward this convergence, this moment when heaven's preparation meets earth's readiness in your life. I am strengthening your character with foundations that cannot be shaken by any storm that might still approach your shores. The faith I am building within you is not fragile belief that crumbles under pressure, but reinforced conviction that grows stronger when tested. You are being transformed into someone who does not merely survive difficulty, but thrives within it, drawing strength from challenges that would destroy those who lack the foundation I am establishing in you. The courage I am depositing in your spirit is not borrowed bravery that must be returned when danger passes. It is permanent installation of my own nature within your being. You are receiving the same valor that empowered David to face Goliath, the same boldness that carried Daniel into the lion's den with peace instead of panic, the same fearlessness that enabled the early believers to proclaim truth in the face of persecution that threatened their very lives. This courage is not about the absence of fear, but the presence of faith that makes fear irrelevant. I am revealing secrets to you that many never hear, because they are too distracted by the noise of daily existence to sit in the silence where revelation flows. These are not secrets I have deliberately hidden, but treasures that become visible only to those who seek with persistence that refuses to be discouraged by initial difficulty. You have demonstrated the hunger required to receive what I am about to impart. Your seeking has qualified you for finding. You have been chosen for purposes that extend far beyond personal blessing into the transformation of lives that will be touched by what I am doing in you. The victory I am preparing you to experience is not meant to terminate with your own celebration. It is designed to become testimony that inspires others who are walking through the same valleys you have traversed. Your triumph will become their roadmap. Your breakthrough will become their blueprint. What I accomplish in your life will accomplish through your life in ways that multiply blessing exponentially. The revelation I am giving you tonight is this: you are not who your circumstances have tried to convince you that you are. You are not defined by the limitations others have spoken over your existence. You are not restricted by the failures that have marked your past or the fears that have haunted your present. You are who I say you are, and I say that you are my child, chosen before time began, loved with love that has no end, destined for victory that no enemy can prevent. I want you to understand something crucial about the preparation process I have been conducting in your life. When a master craftsman creates a masterpiece, the raw material must undergo transformation that feels destructive while it is happening. The gold must be melted to remove impurities. The diamond must be cut to reveal its brilliance. The steel must be heated and hammered to achieve its strength. What feels like destruction is actually construction of something far more valuable than what existed before the process began. You have been in my refining fire, and I know it has been painful. You have questioned whether the heat was evidence of my absence rather than my active presence. You have wondered whether the pressure was punishment for past failures rather than preparation for future purposes. But I need you to understand that the fire never burned hotter than necessary for the impurities that needed removal. and the pressure never exceeded what was required for the strength being developed. What is emerging from this refining process is a version of you that could not have existed without the transformation that felt so uncomfortable while it was occurring. The person who began this journey could not have carried what I am about to place in your hands. The faith that existed before testing could not have sustained what I am about to build through your life. The character that preceded this development could not have maintained what I am about to entrust to your stewardship. You are ready now in ways you were not ready before. Let me speak about the abundance that is entering your experience as this new season unfolds. I am not talking about mere increase in material possessions, though provision is certainly part of what is coming. I am speaking about abundance that touches every dimension of your existence. Abundance of peace that circumstances cannot disturb. Abundance of joy that difficulties cannot diminish. Abundance of love that flows through you toward everyone you encounter. Abundance of purpose that makes every day meaningful. Abundance of hope that transforms how you see tomorrow. The abundance I release operates according to principles that differ dramatically from the scarcity mentality that has dominated human thinking since the garden was lost. The world teaches that there is never enough, that you must compete and grasp and hoard because resources are limited and others will take what you fail to secure. But my kingdom operates on abundance that multiplies when shared, increases when given, and expands when released rather than hoarded. When I bless you with abundance, I am not diminishing what is available for others. I am demonstrating through your experience that my resources have no limitation that requires rationing. What I give you does not reduce what I can give others. What I release into your life does not deplete reservoirs that supply other lives. My abundance is infinite, and your reception of it becomes testimony that encourages others to receive their own portion, rather than believe the scarcity lies that would keep them impoverished. I want to speak specifically about the areas of your life where abundance is being released. Your spiritual life is entering a season of abundance where connection with me becomes easier. Revelation flows more freely, and the presence that once required concentrated effort to perceive becomes constant awareness that accompanies you through every moment. The distance you have sometimes felt between us is closing, as abundance of intimacy floods your experience of relationship with me. Your emotional life is receiving abundance of stability that turbulent feelings could not previously achieve. The mood swings that have exhausted you, the anxiety that has tormented you, the depression that has weighted you are all coming under the authority of peace that abundance brings. This does not mean you will never feel difficult emotions again, but it means those emotions will no longer control you or define your days. Abundance of emotional health is being established as your new normal. Your mental life is receiving abundance of clarity that confusion has been blocking. The decisions that have paralyzed you with uncertainty will begin to resolve as wisdom flows more freely into your thinking. The creativity that has been suppressed by worry will emerge as mental space is cleared for imagination to operate. The focus that distraction has stolen will be restored, as abundance of mental peace creates conditions for concentrated thought. Your relational life is receiving abundance of connection that isolation has prevented. People are being positioned to enter your life who will understand you, support you, celebrate you, and journey with you. Relationships that have been sources of pain are either being healed or being replaced with relationships that bring blessing instead of burden. You will not walk alone through the abundance ahead. Community is being constructed around you that will share your joy and multiply your impact. Your physical life is receiving abundance of health that aligns body with the destiny I have designed for your soul. Where sickness has resided, healing is advancing. Where weakness has limited you, strength is being restored. Where fatigue has exhausted you, energy is returning. Your body is not obstacle to your purpose, but vehicle for accomplishing what I have assigned to your life, and I am restoring that vehicle to condition that enables rather than restricts what you are called to do. Your financial life is receiving abundance of provision that lack has previously denied. Resources that have been withheld are being released. Opportunities that have been hidden are being revealed. Doors that have been locked are being opened. This is not promise of luxury that serves only personal pleasure, but provision of resources that enable you to accomplish purposes that require more than you have previously possessed. Now let me speak about the preparation of your heart that must accompany the abundance being released. Abundance in unprepared hands becomes curse rather than blessing. Resources given to hearts that have not been enlarged become prisons rather than platforms. This is why the season of preparation has been so intensive. I was not withholding blessing to punish you. I was preparing you to receive blessing without being destroyed by it. The preparation of your heart has involved expansion of capacity to contain what I am releasing. A small container cannot hold what a large container embraces. If I had poured abundance into the container you were before preparation began, it would have overflowed and been lost. Or worse, the container would have shattered under pressure it was not designed to bear. The stretching you have experienced was enlargement of capacity for the abundance that is now ready to be received. The preparation has also involved purification of motive that determines how blessing will be used. Abundance given to selfish hearts produces selfish outcomes that benefit no one and ultimately destroy the one who receives them. But abundance given to hearts that have been purified produces generosity that blesses multitudes while enriching the one through whom blessing flows. Your motives have been tested and refined so that the abundance coming is safe in your hands. The preparation has included alignment of priorities that govern how resources will be directed. When material abundance becomes ultimate priority, it consumes the one who pursues it, regardless of how much is acquired. But when relationship with me remains primary, while abundance serves secondary purposes, blessing becomes sustainable rather than destructive. Your priorities have been reordered so that abundance enhances rather than threatens your relationship with me. Let me speak now about the enemies you will face as abundance begins to manifest in your experience. The same adversary who has been attacking you during the season of preparation will intensify his assault during the season of abundance. He cannot prevent what I am releasing, but he will attempt to corrupt it, steal it, or use it to destroy you from within what was meant to bless you from without. The enemy of abundance is ingratitude that fails to recognize blessing when it arrives. When abundance becomes expected rather than celebrated, when blessing becomes entitled rather than appreciated, the heart that receives begins to harden until it can no longer perceive the extraordinariness of what has become ordinary. Guard your gratitude fiercely. Let every blessing, regardless of size, produce thanksgiving that keeps your heart soft and your perception accurate. The enemy of abundance is comparison that measures your blessing against what others receive. When you begin to evaluate your abundance by comparing it to someone else's abundance, you have taken your eyes off the giver and placed them on the gifts. This comparison leads either to pride when you have more or envy when you have less, and both outcomes poison the blessing that was meant to bring life rather than death. The enemy of abundance is hoarding that seeks to store rather than steward what has been given. Abundance that is hoarded stagnates and eventually corrupts. The manna that was meant for one day rotted when Israel tried to store it for tomorrow. The resources I give are meant to flow through you, not to accumulate around you. Your role is not reservoir that holds, but river that moves blessing from my hand through your life into the lives of others. The enemy of abundance is pride that takes credit for what grace has provided. When you begin to believe that your abundance is the product of your own brilliance, effort, or deserving, you have severed acknowledgement from the source that makes all blessing possible. Pride in abundance is particularly dangerous because it seems justified by visible success, while it actually prevents the continuation of blessing that depends on humble recognition of its true origin. Now let me speak about the warriors you are becoming, you and your family together. I am not raising isolated individuals who fight solo battles. I am developing a family unit that functions as coordinated force for kingdom purposes. Each member has unique gifts that complement the gifts of others. Each one carries specific assignments that connect with the assignments of the others. Together, you accomplish what none could accomplish alone. The young ones in your family will see visions that older eyes cannot perceive. They carry prophetic sensitivity that has not yet been dulled by the disappointments that accumulate with age. Do not dismiss their insights as childish imagination. Listen for my voice speaking through their innocence. Some of the most significant direction for your family's future will come through the youngest members who perceive what the oldest members have learned to overlook. The adults in your family will dream dreams that contain revelation for the family's direction. As you sleep, your spirits are free from the distractions that occupy waking hours, and I speak into that freedom with clarity that daytime noise prevents. Pay attention to your dreams. Write them down when you awake. Seek understanding for the symbols and scenarios that appeared while you slept. I am communicating through channels that your busy consciousness has not learned to monitor. Every member of your family has assignment to the family's collective purpose. No one is insignificant. No one is extra. No one is along for the ride while others do the driving. Each one has contribution without which the family is incomplete and the mission is compromised. Discover what each person brings. Celebrate the diversity of gifts. Create an environment where every contribution is honored and no one feels unnecessary. Let me speak about the daily rhythm that must characterize your life as abundance flows more freely. The intensity of what I am releasing requires intentionality in how you approach each day. Random living produces random results, but purposeful engagement with time produces purposeful outcomes that align with the destiny I have designed for your existence. Begin each day with deliberate connection to me before the demands of the day begin their assault on your attention. Those first moments of morning are precious territory that the enemy wants to capture with immediate distraction. But if you give those moments to me instead, you establish the tone for everything that follows. A day begun in my presence carries my presence throughout the hours that unfold. Throughout your day, maintain awareness of my companionship that accompanies you through every activity and encounter. I do not remain at your place of morning devotion while you go about your daily responsibilities. I go with you. I am present in your workplace, in your commute, in your errands, in your conversations, in your decisions, in every moment. Let that awareness flavor how you approach each component of your day. End each day with reflection that acknowledges what occurred and releases what no longer requires your attention. Review the blessings received. Identify the lessons learned. Recognize the growth achieved. Then release the day into my hands, including its disappointments and failures, so that tomorrow begins fresh, rather than burdened by weight that today accumulated. Now let me speak about the provision that characterizes a father's care for children he adores. You have been worried about matters that I have already resolved in dimensions you cannot yet perceive. The solutions to problems that have stolen your sleep already exist in spiritual reality and are working their way toward manifestation in physical experience. Your job is not to figure everything out, but to trust that I have already figured out what you cannot. When you bring your needs to me in prayer, you are not informing me of circumstances I have failed to notice. I knew your needs before you identified them. I was working on solutions before you recognized problems. Your prayer is not report, but relationship. It is not notification, but communion. When you tell me what concerns you, you are not updating my awareness. You are participating in partnership that involves your faith with my provision. The provision I release matches the need you face. It is not generic blessing distributed without regard to specific requirements. It is targeted supply calibrated to precise demand. What you need for today arrives today. What you will need for tomorrow is already being prepared for tomorrow's arrival. You do not need to worry about future needs, because future provision is as certain as past provision has been faithful. But provision also includes more than material supply. When you need wisdom, I provide wisdom. When you need courage, I provide courage. When you need patience, I provide patience. When you need any quality or resource required for what you face, I provide that specific quality or resource. My provision is comprehensive because my concern for you is comprehensive. Nothing about your life falls outside the scope of my care. Let me speak about the healing that abundance includes as one of its most precious components. You have carried wounds that time alone cannot heal. Experiences that marked your soul with scars that continue to affect present function. Memories that remain painful regardless of how many years separated you from when they occurred. These wounds have limited your living even when you did not consciously recognize their ongoing influence. The healing I am releasing reaches into those deep places that surface treatments cannot touch. I am not applying bandages to cover symptoms while underlying damage remains unaddressed. I am performing surgery that removes root causes of ongoing dysfunction. This healing goes beyond what psychological technique can accomplish, though I often work through counselors and therapists who participate with my purposes. The healing I provide restores what was damaged at fundamental levels that only divine intervention can reach. Some of your wounds came from people who should have protected you, but instead inflicted harm. Parents who failed in their sacred responsibility. Authority figures who abused the power entrusted to their position. Trusted friends who betrayed confidences they should have guarded. Religious leaders who misrepresented my character and left you confused about who I really am. These wounds cut particularly deep because they came from sources that should have brought blessing instead of harm. I want you to know that I saw every wound being inflicted even when it seemed I was absent or unconcerned. My apparent silence was not agreement with what was happening to you. My seeming absence was not abandonment of a child I love. I was working in dimensions you could not perceive to limit damage, preserve your core identity, and prepare the healing that I am now releasing in its fullness. Nothing happened to you outside my awareness or beyond my redemptive purpose. The healing includes not just repair of damage, but restoration of what was stolen. The joy that should have characterized your childhood. The security that should have defined your development. The confidence that should have grown through experiences of success. The peace that should have been your constant companion. What others took from you, I am returning with interest. What should have been yours and was stolen is being restored as inheritance that belongs to you as my child. Now let me speak about the identity transformation that accompanies the preparation I have been conducting in your life. You have been living with mistaken beliefs about who you are that were formed through experiences that did not tell you the truth. The criticism you received was not accurate evaluation. The rejection you experienced was not deserved consequence. The failure you encountered was not final verdict. None of these experiences told you the truth about your identity. Your true identity is found only in what I declare over you. And what I declare is dramatically different from what circumstances have seemed to say. I declare that you are my beloved child, in whom I am completely pleased, not because you have achieved perfection, but because you are mine, not because you have earned approval, but because my love does not require earning. My pleasure in you is not based on your performance, but on your position as my child. I declare that you are chosen for purpose that existed before you were born, and extends beyond anything you have yet imagined. You are not accident of biology or random occurrence of nature. You were intentionally designed with specific gifts for specific assignments that only you can fulfill. The unique combination of abilities, experiences, personality, and passion that defines you was carefully crafted to accomplish what I planned for you before time began. I declare that you are more than conqueror through Christ who loves you, not conqueror who barely wins after desperate struggle, more than conqueror who triumphs with certainty that was never in doubt. The victory that belongs to you is not uncertain outcome that requires anxious effort to secure. It is guaranteed result that your faith receives and your life demonstrates. I declare that you are complete in me, lacking nothing essential for the life I have called you to live. The sense of inadequacy that has plagued you is not accurate assessment of actual deficit. It is a lie of the enemy designed to prevent you from stepping into fullness that already belongs to you. You are not incomplete person waiting for missing pieces. You are whole person who has not yet recognized wholeness that already exists. I declare that you are loved with love that nothing can separate you from. Not your failures, however frequent or severe. Not your weaknesses, however persistent or embarrassing. Not your doubts, however deep or disturbing. Not your past, however shameful or regrettable. Nothing in all creation, neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither present nor future, has the power to separate you from love that I have permanently attached to your identity. Let me speak now about the battles you face and the victory that is already yours, though the fighting continues. Every day brings encounters with forces that oppose your progress and seek your destruction. These battles are real, and I do not minimize their intensity or their danger. But I want you to understand something crucial about the nature of warfare in which you are engaged. The decisive battle has already been won. When Christ conquered death and emerged from the grave, every enemy was permanently defeated in the ultimate sense. What you face now is not fighting to determine an outcome that remains uncertain. What you face is enforcing victory that has already been secured. The enemy knows he is lost. His continued assault is desperation of defeated foe who causes damage while he can before his final destruction becomes visible to all. This understanding changes everything about how you approach daily battles. You are not fighting from fear that you might lose. You are fighting from confidence that you have already won. You are not struggling to achieve victory. You are living from victory already achieved. This is not arrogance about your own strength, but confidence in the finished work that guarantees your triumph regardless of how fierce the current conflict might be. The weapons you carry into battle are not physical instruments, but spiritual realities that operate with power beyond what natural armament can achieve. My word is sword that cuts through enemy lies with truth that sets captives free. Faith is shield that deflects every flaming arrow the enemy launches toward your heart. Prayer is communication link that coordinates your fighting with heaven's resources. Praise is weapon that confuses enemy forces and releases power they cannot counter. When you wake each morning, you wake as warrior who faces another day of battle and ongoing war. But you wake as warrior who has already won, who fights with confidence rather than anxiety, who knows that today's enemies will fall like yesterday's enemies fell. Put on the full armor that protects every vulnerable area. Take up weapons that have proven their effectiveness through countless previous victories. March into this day, knowing that nothing you face can overcome the one who goes before you. Let me speak about rest and the importance of guarding your soul's replenishment amidst the demands of daily existence. You cannot fight continuously without becoming casualties to exhaustion that depletes effectiveness more certainly than any enemy attack. Even the most dedicated warriors require intervals of restoration that rebuild what combat has depleted. I am calling you to rest. That is not laziness but wisdom, not escape from responsibility, but investment in sustainability, not abandonment of duty but preparation for continued service. When you rest in me, you are not wasting time that should be spent on productive activity. You are refueling capacity that productive activity requires. The rest I provide is not empty inactivity, but filled restoration that returns more than it seems to take. Come to me when you are weary, and I will give you rest that sleep alone cannot provide. The exhaustion you feel has layers that physical rest addresses only partially. Your soul is tired. Your spirit is depleted. Your mind is overwhelmed. I offer rest that reaches every layer, restoring not just physical energy but emotional resilience, mental clarity, and spiritual vitality. This comprehensive rest is available only in my presence, and it awaits your willing reception. Learn to recognize the signs of depletion before they become symptoms of collapse. When joy becomes harder to access, rest is needed. When patience becomes harder to maintain, rest is needed. When hope becomes harder to believe, rest is needed. These early indicators warn that reserves are running low and replenishment is required. Heed them before they become crises that demand far more recovery than preventive rest would have required. Now let me speak about the people who surround you and the dynamics of relationship that either support or undermine what I am building in your life. You have not been called to walk alone, but neither have you been called to walk with everyone who presents themselves as companion. Discernment is required regarding who belongs in your inner circle and who should remain at greater distance. Some people in your life are gifts from my hand, specifically chosen to accompany you on the journey I have designed for your existence. These people sharpen you, support you, celebrate you, and challenge you toward growth. They speak truth even when truth is uncomfortable, and they stay close even when staying is costly. These are covenant relationships that deserve your investment, protection, and priority. Other people in your life are distractions from destiny that their presence promotes regardless of their intentions. Some mean well but cannot accompany where I am leading you. Others carry agenda that contradicts my purposes for your life. Still others drain rather than fill, take rather than give, burden rather than bless. These relationships require boundaries that protect what I am building from what their presence would undermine. Discerning the difference between these categories requires wisdom that I will provide as you seek it. Pay attention to how you feel after encounters with specific people. Do you feel encouraged or discouraged, strengthened or depleted, closer to me or farther from me, clearer about purpose or more confused? The fruit of relationship reveals its nature more accurately than words or initial impressions can convey. Do not feel guilty about establishing boundaries that protect what I am building in your life. You cannot love everyone equally without loving some at levels that harm what they need you to become. You cannot give everyone equal access without giving some access that enables destruction of what others need you to be. Healthy boundaries are not selfishness, but stewardship of the life I have entrusted to your keeping. Let me speak about the church and your place within the community of believers that I have established as context for spiritual growth and kingdom impact. You were not designed for isolated existence apart from connection with other followers of Christ. You need what others carry, and others need what you bring. The body functions only when all parts work together, and you are an essential part of a body that is incomplete without your active participation. Find community where you can serve as well as receive, where your gifts have opportunity for expression, where your growth is nurtured by truth spoken in love, where your struggles are met with compassion rather than condemnation, where your victories are celebrated and your defeats are supported. Not perfect community, because such does not exist, but committed community that pursues together what none can achieve alone. Be patient with the imperfections you will encounter among my people. The church is not a collection of those who have arrived, but gathering of those who are on the way. Every member carries wounds that have not yet healed, weaknesses that have not yet been overcome, growth that has not yet been completed. When you are frustrated by the imperfections of others, remember that they extend the same grace toward your imperfections that you require. Contribute to community, rather than merely consuming what community provides. Every gathering benefits when you bring what I have given you to share. Your testimony encourages others who face similar struggles. Your gifts meet needs that would go unmet if you withheld them. Your presence communicates value to those who might otherwise feel overlooked. Be giver as well as receiver, contributor as well as consumer, blesser as well as blessed. Now let me speak about worship and the priority it must hold in your life as abundance flows more freely into your experience. Worship is not extra activity to be added when other responsibilities allow. It is fundamental orientation that should underlie and inform everything else you do. When worship becomes central, everything else finds proper place. When worship is marginalized, everything else loses its proper ordering. Worship reminds you of realities that daily existence tends to obscure. It reminds you that I am God and you are not. It reminds you that material things are temporary while spiritual things are eternal. It reminds you that your life belongs to me rather than to yourself. It reminds you that your purpose is my glory rather than your comfort. These reminders are essential maintenance for a soul that forgets quickly under the pressure of daily demands. Worship aligns your heart with heaven's values when earth's values are constantly clamoring for your attention. In worship, you recalibrate priorities that slip out of proper order through the gravitational pull of culture that values what I do not value. The time you spend in worship is not lost productivity, but gained perspective that makes your remaining time far more productive in ways that actually matter. Worship releases power into circumstances that need divine intervention. When you praise me, something happens in spiritual dimensions that affects physical reality. Praise is not just expression of feeling, but exercise of authority that moves mountains, breaks chains, and releases angels. Your worship participates in the accomplishment of purposes that extend far beyond your personal benefit into kingdom impact that reaches further than you can observe. Let me speak about prayer and the communication that must remain constant between us as abundance unfolds in your experience. Prayer is not emergency measure to be employed when crisis demands desperate action. Prayer is a lifestyle of constant communion with me that makes crisis less frequent and less overwhelming when it occurs. The one who prays consistently navigates difficulty differently than the one who prays only occasionally. I want to hear from you, not because I need information, but because we are in relationship that communication nurtures. When you tell me about your day, your concerns, your hopes, your struggles, you are participating in partnership that I value more than you understand. Your words matter to me. Your thoughts interest me. Your feelings concern me. Everything about you is worthy of my attention because you are worthy of my attention. Talk to me throughout your day, not just at designated prayer times. I am not more present in morning devotions than I am in afternoon meetings. I am not more accessible in church buildings than I am in office spaces. Every moment, every location, every circumstance provides context for conversation with me. Let your awareness of my constant presence produce continuous communication that nurtures relationship without interruption, but also maintain deliberate times of focused prayer that allow for depth that scattered conversation cannot achieve. Some things require concentrated attention that multitasking prevents. Some matters need extended time that brief contact cannot provide. Some issues demand wrestling that only sustained engagement can accomplish. Balance constant communion with concentrated concentration that gives both breadth and depth to your communication with me. Let me speak about faith and the role it plays in receiving what I am releasing during this season of abundance. Faith is not believing despite evidence to the contrary. Faith is believing based on evidence that differs from what natural perception can provide. I have given you evidence of my faithfulness through experience of my provision. I have given you evidence of my character through revelation of my nature. I have given you evidence of my purposes through communication of my promises. Faith builds on this evidence toward conclusions that physical sight cannot yet verify. The faith I am developing in you is not naive optimism that denies the reality of difficulty. It is informed confidence that transcends the reality of difficulty with awareness of greater reality that difficulty cannot negate. Your faith acknowledges that problems exist while refusing to believe that problems define ultimate outcome. Your faith recognizes that enemies attack while rejecting the conclusion that enemies will ultimately triumph. Faith operates by declaration that speaks what is true in spiritual reality before it becomes visible in physical reality. When you speak my promises over your circumstances, you are not engaging in positive thinking or wishful hoping. You are exercising authority that participates in bringing spiritual reality into physical manifestation. Your words of faith carry creative power because they align with my words, which created everything that exists. Feed your faith by filling your mind with my word that provides the raw material from which faith is constructed. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing comes by my word. The more you saturate yourself with what I have spoken, the more substance your faith possesses for building conclusions that challenges cannot topple. Neglect of my word produces weakness of faith that leaves you vulnerable to lies the enemy constantly whispers. Now let me speak about the future that stretches before you with possibilities that exceed your current imagination. The plans I have for you are plans for good and not for evil, plans to give you a future and a hope. These plans are not generic intentions that apply to everyone identically. They are specific designs that account for your unique combination of gifts, experiences, personality, and passion. Your future is not mass-produced, but custom-crafted. Stop limiting what you believe is possible for your life by what has been possible in your past. Your past does not determine your future. Your history does not dictate your destiny. What was true in previous chapters does not control what becomes true in chapters yet to be written. I am the God who makes all things new, and the newness I bring includes new possibilities that old patterns could never have produced. Dream again if disappointment has killed your dreaming. Hope again if failure has murdered your hoping. Believe again if discouragement has assassinated your believing. The death of these capacities was not permanent, but was part of the dying that precedes resurrection into greater life. What died was small and limited. What is being raised is large and unlimited. Dream bigger. Hope larger. Believe more. The dreams I give you for your future are not teasing with possibilities that will never materialize. When I place desire in your heart that aligns with my purposes for your life, I am revealing intention that I intend to fulfill. The dream itself is prophecy of what is coming. The hope itself is preview of what I am preparing. Do not dismiss the dreams that seem too big for your current capacity. Your current capacity is not the capacity I am creating for your future. Let me speak about legacy and the impact you will leave on generations that follow your journey through time. Your life is not isolated existence that terminates with your last breath. Your life is chapter in larger story that continues through influence that extends beyond your direct experience. What you do today affects people you will never meet. How you live now shapes circumstances you will never observe. The choices you make have implications that outlast your physical presence. The greatest legacy you can leave is not wealth you accumulate, but character you develop and transmit to those who follow. The values you model become the values your children adopt and transmit to their children. The faith you demonstrate becomes the faith your family inherits and expands. The love you embody becomes the love that shapes how future generations approach relationships. This legacy matters infinitely more than financial inheritance. Live today with awareness that tomorrow's people are watching yesterday's you through the window of the legacy you are currently constructing. What would you want them to see? What would you want them to inherit? What would you want them to learn from how you navigated the challenges and opportunities that filled your days? Let that awareness inform your choices in the present. But legacy is not only what you leave after you depart. It is also what you live while you remain. Every day, you are building reputation that precedes you, influence that surrounds you, impact that follows you. The legacy of today affects the opportunities of tomorrow. Live legacy-minded, not just regarding distant future, but regarding immediate present that shapes everything that follows. Now let me speak about the specific breakthrough that is entering your experience as this message settles into your spirit. Something is shifting right now that will become visible in the days ahead. The breakthrough you have been believing for is no longer distant promise but present reality working its way into manifestation. In your finances, doors are opening that were locked before tonight. Resources are being released that were withheld before this moment. Provision is flowing toward you from directions you have not anticipated, and through people you have not yet met. The financial breakthrough is not someday possibility, but right now certainty that is already in motion. In your health, healing is accelerating that was progressing slowly before tonight. Systems that were struggling are stabilizing. Symptoms that were persistent are diminishing. The restoration I have been working in your body is entering new phase of manifestation that will become undeniable in the experience of your physical frame. In your relationships, connections are being arranged that will bring blessing you have been missing. The loneliness that has shadowed your existence is being addressed by divine orchestration of encounters that will produce meaningful relationship. The relational drought is ending as abundance of connection begins to flow. In your purpose, clarity is emerging that confusion has been blocking. The direction you have been seeking is becoming visible. The calling you have been questioning is being confirmed. What you are supposed to do with your life is coming into focus with definition that removes doubt and enables decisive action. In your emotions, stability is being established that volatility has prevented. The peace that has eluded you is settling over your soul with weight that cannot be easily displaced. The joy that has been flickering is becoming steady flame that difficulty cannot extinguish. Emotional health is no longer distant goal but present experience that is becoming your new normal. Receive these breakthroughs with a thanksgiving that acknowledges their source and celebrates their arrival. Let gratitude be your immediate response to the abundance that is flowing. Praise me not just for what is coming, but for what has already arrived. Even when full manifestation requires time to become completely visible, let me speak about the perseverance that must characterize your journey from this point forward. What I am releasing requires sustained engagement that does not quit when initial enthusiasm fades. The abundance I am pouring into your life demands stewardship that persists through seasons that feel more difficult than this moment of breakthrough. The enemy will attempt to discourage you when rapid progress slows to steady advance. He will whisper that nothing is really happening, that the breakthrough was imaginary, that you are foolish to believe what I have spoken. These whispers are lies designed to terminate your progress before it reaches the fullness I intend. Recognize them and reject them with the truth of what I have declared. Perseverance is not grim determination that trudges forward through teeth-gritting willpower. Perseverance is joy-filled continuation that trusts my character even when my timing differs from preferred schedules. Perseverance maintains thanksgiving when circumstances seem to warrant complaint. Perseverance keeps praising when feelings suggest silence would be more appropriate. Perseverance is faith expressed through time rather than just in moment. The race marked out for you requires finishing as well as starting. Many begin well who do not end well. Many start with enthusiasm who do not persist with endurance. I am developing in you the marathon capacity that crosses finish lines, rather than dropping out at mile markers that seem too distant from the goal. You will finish what I have started in you. You will complete what I have assigned to you. You will reach destinations that currently seem beyond your reach. Now let me speak about the love that has been pursuing you since before you knew you were being pursued. My love for you is not recent development or response to something you did to earn it. My love for you existed before you existed. It was settled in eternity before time began. It was decided in heaven before earth was formed. You have been loved longer than you have been alive, and you will be loved longer than life itself continues. This love is not fluctuating emotion that varies based on your behavior. It is settled commitment that remains constant regardless of what you do or fail to do. When you perform well, I love you. When you fail miserably, I love you. When you are at your best, I love you. When you are at your worst, I love you. My love is not thermometer that rises and falls with your temperature. My love is anchor that holds steady regardless of how the storms of your life rage. I love you not because you are lovable, but because I am love. My loving you is not response to your deserving, but expression of my nature. I cannot stop loving you any more than I can stop being God. The two are inseparable. My existence as God and my love for you are permanently intertwined. As long as I exist, I will love you. And since I exist eternally, my love for you is eternal. This love drove me to the cross where payment was made for every sin you would ever commit. Before you committed your first sin, I had already paid for your last. The debt you accumulated through rebellion against my law was satisfied before you began accumulating it. This is not license to sin, but evidence of love so comprehensive that it covers everything you would ever need covered. This love pursues you relentlessly when you wander away. I am not passive God waiting for you to find your way back. I am pursuing God who searches for wandering sheep until they are found and restored. When you run from me, I run after you. When you hide from me, I seek until I find you. My love does not give up on you, even when you have given up on yourself. This love disciplines you when discipline is what you need. Not punishment that pays you back for wrong behavior, but discipline that develops character you need for the future I have planned. The discipline may be painful while it is happening, but it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. My love disciplines, because my love wants the best for you, and the best often requires discipline to develop. This love is available to you right now in this moment. You do not have to clean yourself up before receiving it. You do not have to achieve certain standards before accessing it. You do not have to prove yourself worthy before experiencing it. My love meets you where you are, exactly as you are, without condition or prerequisite. Receive it now, fully, completely, without reservation. Let me speak about the transformation that this love produces in those who receive it fully. You cannot encounter genuine love without being changed by the encounter. The love I offer is not information to be processed, but power to be experienced. When you open yourself to my love, transformation begins that continues until it has reached every area of your existence. My love transforms how you see yourself. The self-contempt that has plagued you dissolves in the warmth of being loved by the God who created you. The insecurity that has limited you gives way to confidence that flows from being valued by the one whose opinion actually matters. The shame that has kept you hiding is replaced by acceptance that enables transparency. When you know you are loved by me, you begin to see yourself as lovable rather than worthless. My love transforms how you see others. When you have been loved well, you develop capacity to love others well. The love you receive from me overflows through you toward everyone you encounter. The patience that has been difficult becomes easier when you have been patient with. The forgiveness that has been hard becomes natural when you have been forgiven much. The acceptance that has been grudging becomes generous when you have been accepted unconditionally. My love transforms how you approach circumstances. When you know you are loved, fear loses its grip on your response to life. The security of being loved by omnipotent God provides foundation that circumstances cannot shake. You face difficulty differently when you know you are not facing it alone. You navigate uncertainty differently when you know the one who holds your future loves you completely. My love transforms your relationship with me from obligation to desire. When you truly experience my love, spending time with me ceases to be duty you perform and becomes delight you pursue. Prayer becomes conversation you eagerly anticipate rather than religious requirement you reluctantly complete. Worship becomes overflow of heart that has been touched rather than ritual of body that goes through motions. Everything about your spiritual life is transformed when love becomes its foundation. Now let me speak about the specific promises I am releasing over different areas of your life that require my intervention. These are not general hopes, but specific declarations carrying the authority of heaven. Receive them as personal words spoken directly to your situation. Over your mind, I declare freedom from the torment that has plagued your thoughts. The racing anxieties that have stolen your peace are being silenced. The depressive whispers that have darkened your outlook are being replaced with truth that brings light. The confusion that has made decisions impossible is being cleared as my wisdom flows into your understanding. Your mind is being renewed, transformed, liberated from patterns that have held it captive. The battlefield of your thoughts is being claimed for my purposes rather than abandoned to enemy occupation. Over your emotions, I declare stability that volatility has prevented. The mood swings that have exhausted you and confused those who love you are being regulated by peace that surpasses understanding. The anger that has erupted at inappropriate times is being brought under the control of the Spirit who produces self-control as fruit. The sadness that has weighted your days is being lifted as joy that is my strength becomes your experience. You are not at the mercy of feelings that change with circumstance. You are anchored in truth that remains constant regardless of what you feel. Over your body, I declare health that sickness has been stealing. The systems that have been malfunctioning are receiving instruction to operate according to their design. The pain that has been your constant companion is being dismissed as healing takes its place. The fatigue that has limited your capacity is being replaced with energy sufficient for every assignment. Your body is not your enemy, but your ally. And I am restoring it to the partnership it was designed to provide for the purposes I have placed within your soul. Over your relationships, I declare restoration where damage has occurred, and protection where threats remain. The connections that have been severed are being rejoined with bonds stronger than what was broken. The trust that has been violated is being rebuilt with integrity that proves itself over time. The loneliness that has isolated you is ending as community forms around you that provides the belonging you were created to experience. Your relational world is being transformed from source of pain into context for blessing. Over your finances, I declare provision that releases you from the slavery of scarcity. The debt that has accumulated through seasons of difficulty is being addressed through resources I am releasing. The income that has been insufficient is being supplemented through channels you have not anticipated. The financial wisdom that has been lacking is being imparted as you seek my guidance for stewardship decisions. You are not defined by your current financial condition. You are positioned for financial transformation that will amaze those who knew what you once lacked. Over your family, I declare blessing that extends to every member regardless of their current response to me. The prodigals who have wandered are being pursued by my love that will not let them go. The conflicts that have divided are being resolved as hearts soften under the influence of my spirit. The generational patterns of dysfunction are being broken as new patterns of health are established. Your family is not hopeless case, but chosen vessel for demonstration of my redemptive power. Over your future, I declare purpose that gives meaning to every day you live. The confusion about direction that has paralyzed your movement is being replaced with clarity that enables decisive action. The fear of tomorrow that has stolen joy from today is being conquered by trust in the one who holds every tomorrow in his hands. The sense that your best days are behind you is being exposed as a lie and replaced with truth that your best days are still ahead. Your future is not threat to be feared, but gift to be anticipated. Now let me speak about the practical steps that transform these promises from words you hear into reality you experience. Declaration without participation produces nothing but disappointment. What I speak must be received, believed, and acted upon if it is to produce the fruit it contains. Participate in your own transformation by engaging your mind with my word. The renewal I offer comes through the washing of water by the word. When you saturate yourself with what I have spoken, you provide material for the reconstruction of thought patterns that have been producing destructive outcomes. Read my word daily. Meditate on it continuously. Let it dwell in you richly. The time you invest in Scripture is not wasted time subtracted from productivity. It is foundational time that makes all other time more productive. Participate in your own transformation by maintaining consistent prayer. The communication channel between us must remain open if you are to receive the guidance you need for the journey ahead. Do not allow prayer to become an emergency measure employed only when crisis demands. Let it become constant conversation that accompanies you through every aspect of daily existence. Talk to me about everything. Nothing is too small for my attention. Nothing is too big for my power. Participate in your own transformation by connecting with community that supports your growth. Isolated Christians become weakened Christians. You need what others carry, and others need what you bring. Find gathering of believers where you can both receive and contribute, where you are known and accepted, where your growth is nurtured and your gifts are released. The church I have established is not optional addition to your spiritual life. It is essential context for the development I am producing in you. Participate in your own transformation by maintaining obedience to what you already know. I do not reveal next steps to those who refuse to take current steps. Light received must produce response before additional light is given. If you are waiting for me to speak while ignoring what I have already said, you will wait indefinitely. Obey what you know, and you will receive what you need to know for what comes next. Participate in your own transformation by exercising faith in what I have declared. Faith is not passive acceptance, but active engagement with spiritual reality. When you believe my promises, demonstrate that belief through words and actions that align with what you say you believe. Faith without corresponding action is not actually faith at all. It is intellectual agreement that carries no power to transform anything. Now let me speak about the time that transformation requires, and the patience you must cultivate while transformation unfolds. You live in a culture of instant everything, instant communication, instant information, instant gratification of desires that emerge. This conditioning has infected your spiritual expectations as well, creating assumption that transformation should be immediate once request is made. But transformation rarely operates on the schedule that impatience prefers. The profound changes I am working in your life require time to develop properly. Character cannot be microwave manufactured. It must be slow cooked over extended seasons that allow depth to develop that surface treatments cannot provide. The transformation that is happening in you has been in process longer than you realize, and it will continue longer than you might prefer. Do not be discouraged by the pace of change you perceive. What seems slow to you is actually precisely calibrated to produce maximum outcome with minimum damage. If I changed everything overnight, you would not have developed the capacity to steward what changed. The gradual nature of transformation allows you to grow into the new reality rather than being overwhelmed by it. What frustrates you as delay is actually my protection, ensuring you receive transformation you can sustain. But neither should you use the gradual nature of transformation as excuse for no transformation at all. Some invoke patience as justification for passivity that produces nothing. Patience is not absence of effort. It is persistence of effort over extended time. The transformation I promise comes to those who continue pursuing it long after initial enthusiasm is faded. Those who quit too soon never experience what persistence would have produced. There is a rhythm to transformation that you must learn to recognize and cooperate with. Seasons of rapid progress alternate with seasons of apparent plateau. What seems like stagnation is often actually consolidation of gains that were made during more active phases. The plateau is not failure of transformation, but preparation for next phase of advancement. Do not despair when progress seems to pause. Continue the practices that have been producing change, and you will discover that the plateau was foundation for advancement that follows. Now let me speak about the opposition you will face as transformation progresses and the strategies that enable you to overcome what opposes you. You have an enemy who does not want you to become what I am making you. He was content with the old version of you that was limited and ineffective. The transforming version of you represents threat to his purposes that he will not ignore. Expect his opposition to intensify as your transformation accelerates. The enemy opposes through accusation that attempts to convince you that you are not actually changing. He points to failures that still occur and uses them as evidence that transformation is illusion rather than reality. He magnifies what remains wrong while minimizing what has become right. His accusations are designed to produce discouragement that causes you to quit before transformation reaches fullness. Counter accusation with truth that my word provides. Yes, you still fail, but you fail less frequently and less severely than you did before. Yes, you still struggle, but you struggle with issues that would not even be on your radar if transformation were not happening. Yes, you still have far to go, but you have already come far from where you started. Reject the enemy's selective presentation of facts and embrace the complete picture that reveals transformation in progress. The enemy opposes through temptation that attempts to derail the transformation I am accomplishing. He studies your weaknesses and designs enticements calibrated to your particular vulnerabilities. The temptations you face are not random. They are strategic assaults aimed at the areas where you are most likely to fall. He does not waste effort on temptations to which you have no attraction. He focuses his fire on the specific weaknesses where history suggests you can be defeated. Counter temptation with the weapons I have provided for your protection. My word is sword that defeats temptation by speaking truth, that exposes the lies behind what tempts. When Jesus was tempted in the wilderness, he responded to every enticement with scripture that revealed the deception behind the appeal. Follow his example. Know my word well enough that it becomes a available weapon when temptation attacks. The enemy opposes through distraction that prevents you from maintaining the practices that produce transformation. If he cannot defeat you through accusation or temptation, he will simply occupy your time with activities that seem valuable, but actually prevent the engagement with me that transformation requires. Your calendar fills with commitments that crowd out the time needed for prayer, study, and reflection. Your mind fills with concerns that consume the attention needed for spiritual growth. Counter distraction with intentional prioritization that protects what matters most. Guard your time with me as you would guard appointment with the most important person you know, because that is exactly what it is. Do not allow lesser activities, regardless of how urgent they seem, to displace the essential activities that produce the transformation you are seeking. What you prioritize reveals what you value. Make sure your priorities demonstrate that transformation matters more than the distractions that threaten to derail it. Now let me speak about the specific declarations I am speaking over your life that you must receive, believe, and speak for yourself. These declarations carry authority that comes from my throne. When you speak them in faith, you are participating with my power in the transformation they describe. Declare that you are chosen, not because of anything you have done, but because of who I am and what I have decided. Your selection was not based on your qualifications. It was based on my purposes that your life serves, regardless of how qualified or unqualified you feel. You did not earn your position in my family. You received it as gift that my grace provides. Declare that you are loved, not because you are lovable, but because I am love, and I have decided to express my love through relationship with you. My love for you is not fluctuating emotion that varies based on your performance. It is settled commitment that remains constant regardless of what you do or fail to do. Nothing can separate you from this love. It is a permanent feature of your existence that nothing and no one can remove. Declare that you are forgiven, not because your sins were insignificant, but because my sacrifice was sufficient. The debt you accumulated through transgression against my law has been paid in full by blood that I shed on your behalf. The record of your wrongs has been erased, nailed to the cross, removed as far as east is from west. When I look at you, I do not see the sins you have committed. I see the righteousness that has been credited to your account through faith in my finished work. Declare that you are empowered, not with human strength that fails under pressure, but with divine power that accomplishes what human effort could never achieve. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead lives within you, providing strength for every challenge, wisdom for every decision, courage for every battle. You are not dependent on your own resources that have proven inadequate. You have access to resources unlimited in supply and perfect in application. Declare that you are protected, not from all difficulty, but from anything that could ultimately destroy you. The enemy can attack, but he cannot defeat you. Circumstances can challenge, but they cannot overcome you. Trials can test, but they cannot terminate what I am building in you. You are kept by my power through faith for salvation, ready to be revealed. What I have started in you, I will complete. No weapon formed against you will prosper. Declare that you are equipped, not with generic provision that might or might not match your specific needs, but with precisely calibrated supply for exactly what you face. Before you encounter any situation, I have already prepared what that situation requires. You are not being sent into battle without weapons or into wilderness without provision. Everything you need has already been secured and awaits your appropriation through faith. Declare that you are destined, not for average existence that makes no difference, but for significant purpose that impacts lives beyond your own. You were created for good works that I prepared in advance for you to walk in. Your life has meaning that transcends personal satisfaction. Through you, others will encounter my love, hear my truth, experience my power. Your existence serves purposes that extend into eternity. Now let me speak about your family and the specific blessings I am releasing over each member according to their need. Your family is not a collection of individuals who happen to share genetics or address. Your family is a strategic unit that I have designed for purposes that require their combined contribution. Over the children in your family, I speak blessing that protects and propels them toward their destinies. The world in which they are growing contains dangers that previous generations did not face. But my protection is sufficient for every danger. The pressures that threaten their development cannot overcome the power that guards their growth. They are not unnoticed or unprotected. Angels have been assigned to their care, and my attention remains fixed on their welfare. I am working in the hearts of the young ones even when you cannot see evidence of that work. Seeds are being planted that will produce harvest in seasons yet to come. The resistance you encounter now is not evidence that nothing is happening. It is often evidence that something significant is being contested. Keep praying for your children. Keep modeling for them what relationship with me looks like. Keep speaking truth into their lives even when they seem not to be listening. Nothing you invest in them is wasted. Over the spouse or future spouse connected to your life, I speak blessing that strengthens and restores. Marriage is under assault in this culture as never before. The enemy knows that healthy marriages produce healthy families, that produce healthy churches, that transform communities. He attacks marriages with ferocity that recognizes their strategic importance. But your marriage is not defenseless against his assault. The power that protects it exceeds the power that attacks it. If your marriage is strong, I am making it stronger. New dimensions of intimacy are opening. Deeper levels of partnership are developing. The connection that has sustained your relationship is expanding into areas that have remained unexplored. What has been good is becoming better. What has been satisfying is becoming even more fulfilling. If your marriage is struggling, I am bringing resources for its rescue. The distance that has grown between you is not permanent condition. The communication that is broken down can be restored. The trust that has been damaged can be rebuilt. Do not give up on what I have joined together. The healing power that restores individual lives is available for your marriage as well. If you are waiting for marriage that has not yet materialized, I am working in dimensions you cannot perceive. The one I am preparing for you is being prepared by me in ways that match the preparation I am conducting in you. The waiting is not wasted time. It is essential season that develops in you the capacity for the relationship that is coming. Trust my timing, even when it differs from your preference. Over the extended family connected to your life, I speak blessing that reaches wherever they are scattered. Some are near, and their connection with you is strong. Others are distant, whether geographically or relationally. But my reach extends to wherever they are. My love pursues them regardless of their current response to me. My power is working in their lives even when they do not acknowledge my existence. Pray for family members who are far from me. Your prayers create openings for my spirit to work in their hearts. The intercession you offer on their behalf is not futile exercise that accomplishes nothing. It is participation in my purposes that are unfolding in their lives, whether they recognize it or not. Do not lose heart in praying for prodigals. Many who seemed hopelessly lost have been found and restored. Your family members can be among them. Now let me speak about the specific areas of struggle that many who receive this message are facing. I see what you are walking through. I know the details of difficulty that keep you awake at night. Let me address some of these areas with words that bring hope and healing. If you are struggling with addiction that has enslaved you despite repeated attempts at freedom, hear this truth. Addiction is not your identity. It is bondage from which I offer liberation. The substances or behaviors that have controlled you cannot ultimately overcome the power that breaks every chain. I do not condemn you for the struggle. I offer you freedom from the struggle. Come to me with your addiction. Do not hide it or pretend it does not exist. Bring it into the light where my power can address it. Recovery is a process that requires persistence, but complete freedom is possible for those who refuse to give up. If you are struggling with depression that has weighted your existence with darkness, hear this truth. Depression is not a permanent sentence. It is a temporary condition that can be addressed and overcome. I do not minimize the reality of what you experience. The darkness is real. The weight is heavy. The effort required just to function is exhausting. But I am greater than the depression that has tormented you. Whether through medical intervention, counseling support, spiritual breakthrough, or a combination of these, I am bringing resources for your recovery. Hold on to hope, even when hope feels impossible. I am working in your situation, even when you cannot feel my activity. If you are struggling with anxiety that has stolen your peace and threatened your functionality, hear this truth. Anxiety is not a necessary response to an uncertain world. It is a disordered response that my peace can replace. I do not dismiss the reality of what triggers your anxious feelings. The world contains genuine threats and legitimate concerns, but anxiety amplifies these concerns beyond their actual proportion and steals peace that is your inheritance as my child. Bring your anxieties to me in prayer. Leave them with me rather than carrying them back after you have supposedly released them. My peace that surpasses understanding will guard your heart and mind as you learn to trust me with what you cannot control. If you are struggling with grief that has followed loss you never expected to survive, hear this truth. Grief is an appropriate response to genuine loss. I do not ask you to stop grieving what deserves to be mourned, but I offer presence that accompanies you through grief's valley and promise that grief's valley has an ending that opens into hope. The one you have lost is not lost to me. The separation you feel is a temporary condition that eternity will resolve. Let yourself grieve while also receiving the comfort that only I can provide. If you are struggling with anger that erupts in ways that damage relationships and produces regret, hear this truth. Anger is not always wrong, but it must be managed by wisdom that prevents the destruction uncontrolled anger causes. Bring your anger to me before expressing it to others. Let me help you discern what in your anger is righteous response to genuine wrong, and what is disordered reaction to circumstances that do not warrant the intensity you feel. My Spirit produces self-control as fruit in lives that are yielded to His influence. That self-control can govern your anger so that it serves productive purposes, rather than causing relational damage. If you are struggling with fear that has paralyzed your movement and limited your living, hear this truth. Fear is a liar that distorts reality and prevents engagement with the life I have given you. Most of what you fear will never happen. Much of what you fear, even if it happens, will not be as devastating as fear suggests. And everything you fear, regardless of whether it happens or how devastating it proves to be, will be faced with my presence that never leaves you. Do not let fear prevent you from stepping into the purposes I've designed for your existence. Feel the fear and move forward anyway, trusting that my presence makes you sufficient for whatever you encounter. Now let me speak about the night that surrounds you and the rest that I am offering in these quiet hours. Night carries different significance than day. The activity that fills daylight hours has faded. The demands that kept you running have paused. The noise that drowned out whispers has diminished. In this quieter space, different kinds of encounter become possible. I have important things to speak into your life during the night watches. When the distractions of day have faded, you can hear with different clarity. When the demands of productivity have paused, you can receive with different capacity. The night is not just time for sleep that restores physical energy. It is opportunity for spiritual encounter that brings revelation, direction, and healing. As you prepare for sleep tonight, release to me the weight you have been carrying. The concerns that have occupied your mind do not require your continued attention. I am capable of watching over your life while you rest. The problems that remain unsolved will not be solved by worrying through another sleepless night. Rest does not mean you are abandoning responsibility. It means you are trusting the one whose capacity for caring never requires rest. Let your sleep tonight be different from sleep that has come before. Let it be sleep of one who has encountered me in this message and been changed by that encounter. Let it be sleep of one who has released burdens that only I am capable of carrying. Let it be sleep of one who knows that tomorrow will be different because what has happened tonight. I am speaking peace over your sleep tonight. The dreams that come will not be disturbing, but restoring. The rest that your body experiences will reach deeper than physical refreshment into spiritual renewal. When you awake, you will recognize that something has shifted. The new season I have been declaring will feel more real than it did before you slept. The transformation I have been describing will be more visible when morning light returns. Now let me speak about the power of words and the importance of aligning what you say with what I have declared. Your words are not neutral sounds that evaporate after being spoken. They carry creative force that participates in shaping the reality you experience. When you speak words of faith, you are cooperating with my purposes. When you speak words of doubt and defeat, you are cooperating with the enemy's agenda. Listen to what you say about yourself and your circumstances. Are your words aligned with what I have declared, or do they contradict the truth I have spoken? When you say you cannot do something, you are often negating the empowerment I have provided. When you say nothing will ever change, you are denying the transformation I am actively working. When you say you are worthless and hopeless, you are rejecting the identity I have given you. Begin to consciously speak words that agree with my declarations. When your circumstances seem impossible, speak the truth that nothing is impossible with me. When your resources seem insufficient, speak the truth that I supply all your needs according to my riches in glory. When your strength seems inadequate, speak the truth that my strength is perfected in your weakness. Your words are not just describing reality, they are participating in creating reality. This does not mean you can speak anything into existence through some magical formula. You cannot contradict my will through declarations that serve only your desires. But when your words align with what I have already spoken, They carry authority that participates in bringing my purposes to pass. Speak my promises over your circumstances. Speak my truth over your identity. Speak my word over your future. These aligned declarations carry power that transforms. Train the people in your household to speak words of faith rather than words of fear. The atmosphere of your home is shaped by the words spoken within its walls. When complaint dominates, heaviness settles. When gratitude and faith characterize conversation, lightness enters. What your family speaks affects what your family experiences. Guard the words that circulate in your home with intentionality that recognizes their creative power. Now let me speak about worship and its power to transform the atmosphere around your life. Worship is not just songs sung in church gatherings. Worship is orientation of heart that acknowledges my worth and responds with adoration that flows from recognition of who I am. This orientation can be expressed in formal settings, but it should also characterize the informal moments that make up daily existence. When you worship, something shifts in the spiritual atmosphere. Heaviness lifts as praise ascends. Oppression breaks as adoration is released. The enemy cannot maintain his grip on territory that is being filled with worship directed toward me. This is not magical formula that manipulates spiritual reality. It is alignment with truth that releases power that has always been available but becomes activated through worship. Some of the greatest victories recorded in Scripture came through worship rather than warfare. When Jehoshaphat faced overwhelming enemy armies, he sent worshipers before the soldiers, and the battle was won without a single sword being raised. When Paul and Silas worshipped at midnight in the Philippian prison, earthquake came that opened every door and loosed every chain. Worship is not retreat from battle, but is itself a form of warfare that defeats enemies by different means than natural fighting employs. Develop a lifestyle of worship that extends beyond designated worship times. Let awareness of my presence produce gratitude that flows continuously rather than intermittently. Let recognition of my goodness generate praise that punctuates your day with celebration. Let consciousness of my sovereignty create peace that keeps worship flowing even when circumstances suggest complaining would be more appropriate. Teach your children to worship from their earliest years. The patterns established in childhood create trajectories that influence adulthood. Children who learn to turn to me in worship during difficulty develop different life patterns than children who learn only to worry or complain. The worship culture you establish in your home shapes how the next generation responds to the challenges they will face. Now let me speak about generosity and its connection to the abundance I am releasing in your life. The abundance I pour into your life is not meant to accumulate around you. It is meant to flow through you toward others who need what you have received. You are not reservoir designed to hold. You are river designed to move blessing from my hand through your life into the lives of others. Generosity releases more abundance into your experience. This is not formula for manipulation, but principle of kingdom economics. When you give generously, you create capacity for receiving generously. The hand that is open to release is also open to receive. The hand that is clenched to hoard can neither release nor receive effectively. Give without calculating what you will receive in return. Generous giving that expects reciprocation is not actually generosity at all. It is transaction that uses religious language to disguise its commercial nature. True generosity gives because giving is right, because needs exist that your resources can address, because I have given generously to you and you want to express the same generosity toward others. Give to those who cannot give anything back. The poor, the marginalized, the forgotten. These are people whose needs your generosity can address without any possibility of repayment. Your generosity toward them is pure because it cannot be motivated by expectation of return. When you give to those who cannot repay, you are giving as I give, and you position yourself to receive more from me because you are using what you have received in alignment with my purposes. Give to my work in the world through the church and ministries that are extending my kingdom. The resources I provide are meant to fund purposes that extend beyond your personal needs. When you give to support the proclamation of my gospel, the care of those in need, the development of communities of faith. You are participating in eternal purposes that your individual life could never accomplish alone. Your generosity becomes multiplied through the work your resources enable. Give of your time and attention, not just your money. Some people need your presence more than your presence. The lonely need your companionship. The struggling need your encouragement. The confused need your wisdom. These gifts of time and attention are often more costly than financial gifts, because they cannot be given without sacrifice of the limited resource of hours that make up each day. Now let me speak about the testimonies that your life is meant to generate as my power works through your circumstances. Every breakthrough you experience becomes testimony that encourages others who face similar struggles. Every victory you achieve becomes evidence that inspires others who are fighting similar battles. Your story is not just for you. It is for everyone who will hear it and take courage from what I have done in your life. Do not keep your breakthroughs secret. Share them with others who need to hear that breakthrough is possible. The testimony of what I have done in your life carries authority that theoretical teaching cannot match. When you say that I have delivered, healed, provided, restored, transformed, you are speaking from experience that communicates with power beyond what second-hand report can achieve. Some who receive this message have been reluctant to share testimonies because they feel their stories are not dramatic enough to matter. But every testimony matters. The person who needed exactly the encouragement your story provides might never hear it if you remain silent. Your ordinary breakthrough might be the extraordinary encouragement that someone desperately needs. Collect your testimonies. Write them down so you do not forget them. When new challenges come, review the record of previous faithfulness. The evidence of past provision becomes foundation for faith regarding current need. The testimony of previous breakthrough becomes basis for believing that current breakthrough is possible. Now let me speak about the attacks that specifically target those who are walking in the abundance I am releasing. The enemy does not attack randomly. He attacks strategically, focusing his fire on those who are accomplishing the most damage to his kingdom. If you are walking in abundance, you are a threat that he cannot ignore. Expect his attention to increase as your effectiveness increases. The attacks will come against your health. The enemy knows that physical limitation restricts spiritual effectiveness. He will attempt to bring sickness that sidelines you from the assignments I have given. Guard your health through wisdom that includes rest, nutrition, and medical attention when needed. But also guard it through faith that recognizes attacks for what they are and resists them with the authority that belongs to those who walk in my power. The attacks will come against your relationships. The enemy knows that isolated believers are weakened believers. He will attempt to create conflicts that fracture the connections that strengthen you. Guard your relationships through commitment that works through difficulty rather than abandoning at the first sign of trouble. But also recognize when relational conflict is being stirred by spiritual forces that want to divide what I have joined. The attacks will come against your finances. The enemy knows that financial pressure creates distraction from spiritual priorities. He will attempt to create crises that consume your attention and deplete your resources. Guard your finances through wisdom that includes budgeting, saving, and living within your means. But also recognize when financial attack is spiritual warfare that requires spiritual response. The attacks will come against your mind. The enemy knows that battles are won or lost in the arena of thought before they ever manifest in action. He will attempt to fill your mind with fear, doubt, confusion, and discouragement. Guard your mind through deliberate engagement with truth that counters the lies he whispers. But also recognize when mental struggle is spiritual attack that requires spiritual resistance. The attacks will come against your family. The enemy knows that strong families produce strong believers who produce strong churches that advance the kingdom. He will attempt to fracture family unity through conflict, addiction, prodigal wandering, and any other strategy that divides what should be united. Guard your family through intentional investment of time, attention, and prayer. But also recognize when family struggle is spiritual assault that requires coordinated spiritual response. Now let me speak about the discipline of waiting and the fruit that patience produces when it is allowed to complete its work. Much of the Christian life involves waiting. waiting for prayer to be answered, waiting for promises to be fulfilled, waiting for breakthrough to manifest, waiting for transformation to complete. The discipline of waiting is one of the most difficult and one of the most important aspects of walking with me. Waiting feels passive, but it is actually one of the most active expressions of faith. When you wait on me, you are declaring that you trust my timing even when it differs from your preference. You are expressing confidence that I am working even when you cannot perceive activity. You are demonstrating belief that delay is not denial, but rather preparation for something better than what immediate answer would have provided. Waiting produces endurance that develops character. The patience that is required for waiting becomes permanent capacity that serves you in every area of life. Those who have learned to wait on me discover that they have developed ability to persist through difficulty that would destroy those who never learned the discipline of patient expectation. Waiting reveals what is in your heart. The true nature of your faith becomes visible during seasons of waiting. When answer comes quickly, any kind of faith can celebrate. But only genuine faith continues trusting when answer is delayed. The waiting period exposes whether your faith is in me or in the outcome you are seeking. If your faith collapses when the outcome is delayed, your faith was in the outcome, not in me. Waiting prepares you for what you are waiting for. Often the delay is not about the answer, but about you. You are not yet ready to receive what you have requested. The waiting period is developing in you the capacity to steward what is coming. If I gave you now what you will eventually receive, you would not have the foundation to sustain it. Do not waste your waiting. Some people mark time during seasons of waiting, essentially putting their lives on hold until the answer arrives. But waiting seasons are not dead seasons. They are development seasons that should be embraced rather than merely endured. What is being built in you during the wait is often more valuable than what you are waiting for. Now let me speak about the morning that follows this night and the new day that awaits you. When the sun rises tomorrow, something will be different. You will not be the same person who began receiving this message. The words that have been spoken into your spirit have accomplished work that cannot be undone. The encounter that has occurred has produced change that persists. Approach tomorrow with expectation that differs from how you have approached previous days. Expect to see evidence of the breakthrough I have declared. Expect to encounter provision you did not anticipate. Expect to experience peace that circumstances do not warrant. Expect transformation to become more visible as days unfold. The practices you have established will require maintenance, and tomorrow provides opportunity for that maintenance to continue. Begin the day in connection with me before the demands of the day capture your attention. Maintain awareness of my presence throughout the hours that unfold. End the day in reflection that acknowledges what occurred and releases what no longer requires your attention. But also expect tomorrow to contain challenges that test what you have received tonight. The enemy does not passively accept the ground you have gained. He will attempt to reclaim territory through doubt that questions what you have believed, through circumstances that seem to contradict what you have heard, through discouragement that suggests nothing has really changed. Recognize these attacks for what they are and resist them with truth that this message has reinforced. The transformation that has begun will continue beyond tomorrow into all the tomorrows that follow. What starts small grows large. What begins unseen becomes visible. What seems insignificant proves to be foundational. Do not despise small beginnings. They are seeds that contain harvests far exceeding what the seed itself suggested was possible. Now, let me speak about the eternal perspective that must frame how you understand everything I have spoken in this message. The abundance I am releasing is real, but it is not ultimate. The breakthrough I am bringing is significant, but it is not final. Everything that happens in time is preparation for eternity that follows time. What you experience now is important, but it is not as important as what you will experience forever. This eternal perspective keeps temporal blessing in proper proportion. When abundance comes, you celebrate without making abundance your God. When difficulty comes, you persevere without concluding that difficulty defines your existence. What happens in this life matters, but it matters most as preparation for what comes next. The character being developed, the relationship being deepened, the purposes being accomplished, These are what carry forward into eternity. Live with eternity in view. Make decisions based on eternal consequences, rather than just temporal outcomes. Invest resources in eternal purposes, rather than just temporal pleasures. Build relationships that will continue, rather than connections that terminate when life ends. The perspective that recognizes the temporary nature of temporal things is the perspective that lives most effectively in temporal reality. But eternal perspective does not diminish engagement with present reality. Some have used eternity as excuse to disengage from the challenges and opportunities of current existence. But that is not what eternal perspective produces in hearts that understand both time and eternity correctly. Eternal perspective produces more effective engagement with present reality, because it places present reality in context that reveals what matters and what does not. You are eternal being having temporary earthly experience. This life is not dress rehearsal for something that comes later. This life matters. What happens here has eternal consequences. But this life is also not all there is. What you cannot accomplish here will be accomplished there. What you cannot resolve here will be resolved there. What you cannot understand here will be understood there. Eternal perspective produces peace that temporary thinking cannot achieve. Now let me speak about the specific assignments I am giving you that require your response as this message reaches completion. These are not optional suggestions, but important directions that should shape how you move forward from this encounter. Your first assignment is to establish or deepen your practice of daily communion with me. If you have been neglecting time in my presence, this must change beginning tomorrow. Set aside specific time each day for prayer, study of my word, and quiet reflection. Protect this time from the competing demands that will attempt to steal it. The transformation I am promising depends on continuous connection that cannot be maintained without intentional time investment. Your second assignment is to identify and address any area of disobedience that remains in your life. The abundance I am releasing flows more freely through lives that are submitted to my lordship. Where you have been holding back areas of your life from my authority, surrender must occur. This is not about earning blessing through performance, but about aligning your life with the flow of blessing that obedience enables. What area have you been protecting from my control? Release it to me now. Your third assignment is to reach out to someone who needs encouragement. Before tomorrow ends, identify a person who is struggling and speak life into their situation. Share something from this message that specifically addresses what they are facing. The blessing you have received multiplies when you share it. Do not hoard what was meant to flow through you toward others. Your fourth assignment is to release whatever unforgiveness you have been carrying. Bitterness blocks blessing more effectively than almost any other spiritual condition. The person or people against whom you hold grudges may not deserve your forgiveness, but you deserve the freedom that forgiveness provides. Release them not because they have earned release, but because my forgiveness of you requires that you extend forgiveness to others. Your fifth assignment is to express gratitude for specific blessings you have been taking for granted. Before you sleep tonight, name at least 10 things for which you are genuinely grateful. Be specific rather than general. The practice of gratitude reorients your heart toward blessing rather than burden, toward abundance rather than scarcity. Make this practice habitual rather than occasional. Now let me speak about the authority you carry as my child, and how that authority should be exercised in the battles you face. You are not passive victim of spiritual forces you cannot resist. You are authorized representative of the kingdom of heaven with delegated authority to confront and overcome the kingdom of darkness. When the enemy attacks, you do not need to wait for me to intervene. You have been given authority to resist him directly. The name of Jesus carries power that demons recognize and must obey. The blood of Christ carries protection that enemies cannot penetrate. The word of God carries truth that lies cannot withstand. These weapons are in your hands for your use in the battles you face. Exercise your authority with confidence that comes from understanding its source. The authority you carry is not based on your own righteousness or power. It is delegated authority that derives from the one who holds all authority in heaven and on earth. When you speak in my name, you speak with authority that heaven recognizes and hell fears. but exercise your authority with humility that recognizes the source of your power. Pride in spiritual authority is particularly dangerous because it can transform the authority from weapon against the enemy into weapon that the enemy uses against you. The moment you begin to think that your authority is your own rather than delegated, you have positioned yourself for defeat. Exercise your authority consistently rather than sporadically. Some believers ignore their authority during seasons of apparent peace, only to scramble for weapons when attack becomes intense. But authority exercised consistently prevents many attacks that sporadic exercise cannot stop. The enemy probes for weakness. Consistent exercise of authority communicates that this territory is defended. Now let me speak about the prayer life that must characterize those who walk in the abundance I am releasing. Prayer is not religious duty that earns blessing through performance. Prayer is relationship that creates conditions for blessing to flow. The one who prays consistently experiences different life than the one who prays only occasionally. Develop a prayer life that includes adoration. Before you bring requests, bring praise. Acknowledge who I am before you ask for what you want. This order is not formula to manipulate me into responding, but orientation that properly positions your heart for the encounter that prayer provides. Develop a prayer life that includes confession. The accumulation of unconfessed sin creates barrier between us that limits what prayer can accomplish. Regular confession keeps the channel clear and the relationship healthy. Do not wait for guilt to become unbearable before confessing. Make confession regular practice that maintains clean conscience. Develop a prayer life that includes thanksgiving. Express gratitude for what I have done before requesting what you want me to do. The heart that begins with thanksgiving approaches me differently than the heart that begins with demand. Thanksgiving creates atmosphere in which faith flourishes. Develop a prayer life that includes intercession. Pray for others, not just yourself. The expanding circle of your prayer concern reflects the expanding heart that I am developing within you. Intercessors who carry others before my throne become channels through which my blessing flows to those who are carried. Develop a prayer life that includes supplication. Yes, bring your requests. Tell me what you need and what you want. I am not reluctant giver who must be convinced that your needs are legitimate. I am generous Father who delights in providing for children who ask. But let your asking flow from relationship that includes adoration, confession, thanksgiving, and intercession rather than being only about what you want. Now let me speak about the scripture engagement that must accompany the prayer life I have just described. My word is the raw material from which faith is constructed. Those who neglect scripture find their faith weakening through malnutrition that starves what should be growing. Read scripture systematically rather than randomly. While there is value in opening the Bible to random passages, there is greater value in reading through books and sections with attention to context and flow. The one who reads systematically develops understanding that random reading cannot produce. Read scripture expectantly rather than mechanically. Do not approach my word as duty to be completed, but as encounter to be anticipated. I speak through scripture to those who come expecting to hear. The same passage that falls dead on mechanical reading becomes life-giving to expectant engagement. Read scripture applicably rather than academically. The purpose of reading is not just information, but transformation. When you read, ask what this passage means for how you should live. What does it require you to believe? What does it require you to do? How does it change your understanding of me, yourself, or life? Reading that does not pursue application produces knowledge without transformation. Read scripture meditatively rather than hastily. Slow down. Linger over passages that speak to your current situation. Let my words settle into the depths of your soul rather than skimming across the surface. The meditation that chews on truth extracts nutrition that hasty reading overlooks. Read scripture repeatedly rather than assuming once is enough. The Bible is not novel to be read once and set aside. It is library of life to be returned to repeatedly throughout your journey. Passages you have read many times will speak new truths when you return to them at different life stages. Never assume you have exhausted what any scripture contains. Now let me speak about the community engagement that must accompany both prayer and scripture if the transformation I am working is to reach completion. You are not designed for isolated spiritual development. You need others, and others need you. The body of Christ functions only when all parts are connected and contributing. Find a community where you can be known. The superficial connections that characterize many church experiences do not provide what you need. You need people who know your struggles, your failures, your fears, and your dreams. You need relationships deep enough to support you when you are weak and celebrate with you when you succeed. Find a community where you can serve. Your gifts were not given for your own benefit alone. They were given for the benefit of the body. When you withhold your contribution, something goes unmade that only you can provide. The community needs what you carry, even when you doubt that what you carry matters. Find a community where you can grow. You need people who speak truth to you, even when truth is uncomfortable. You need relationships that challenge you toward growth rather than affirming you into stagnation. Iron sharpens iron, and the sharpening requires the friction that growth-producing relationships provide. Find a community where you can worship. Corporate worship generates something that private worship cannot achieve. When voices join together, when hearts unite in adoration, when the body gathers before me in collective celebration, something happens that isolated worship cannot produce. You need what corporate worship provides. Find a community where you can be held accountable. Left to yourself, you will drift toward patterns that undermine what I am building. You need people who will ask hard questions, who will notice when you are wandering, who will pursue you when you begin to withdraw. Accountability is not control. It is love expressed through attention that cares enough to notice and respond. Now let me speak about the obedience that must characterize your response to everything this message has contained. You have received much tonight. What you do with what you have received determines whether it produces fruit or withers without impact. Obedience is not optional for those who claim to follow me. The faith that does not produce obedience is not actually faith at all. It is intellectual agreement that has no power to transform. When you say you believe what I have spoken but do not act on what you have heard, your actions reveal what you actually believe, and it is not what your words claim. Obedience must be immediate rather than delayed. The intention to obey later often becomes the failure to obey ever. When my word requires response, respond now rather than postponing until conditions are more convenient. Delayed obedience trains your heart in disobedience patterns that become increasingly difficult to break. Obedience must be complete rather than partial. Selective obedience that follows some instructions while ignoring others is not actually obedience at all. It is negotiation that reserves for yourself the right to determine which of my words you will follow. I am not interested in negotiation. I require surrender that releases control to me. Obedience must be continuous rather than sporadic. The one who obeys occasionally but disobeys frequently does not know the blessing that continuous obedience produces. Obedience is not isolated incidents of compliance but lifestyle of submission that characterizes all your decisions rather than just some of them. Now let me speak final words of blessing as this message reaches its conclusion. You have received much tonight. You have encountered me in ways that will change how you experience tomorrow and all the days that follow. I am blessing your mind with peace that replaces the anxiety that has tormented your thoughts. The racing worries are being silenced. The depressive darkness is being displaced by light. The confusion is being cleared as wisdom flows into your understanding. Your mind is being renewed, transformed, set free from patterns that have held it captive. I am blessing your emotions with stability that replaces the volatility that has exhausted you. The mood swings are being regulated. The anger is being brought under control. The sadness is being lifted. Joy that is my strength is becoming your experience. Peace that surpasses understanding is guarding your heart. I am blessing your body with health that replaces the sickness that has limited your living. Systems that have been malfunctioning are receiving correction. Pain that has been persistent is being addressed. Fatigue that has depleted you is being replaced with energy sufficient for your assignments. Your body is being restored to partnership with your soul. I am blessing your relationships with restoration that replaces the damage that has characterized your connections. Broken bonds are being rejoined. Trust that has been violated is being rebuilt. Loneliness is being addressed as community forms around you. Your relational world is being transformed. I am blessing your finances with provision that replaces the scarcity that has constrained your living. Resources are being released. Opportunities are being revealed. Doors are being opened. Financial wisdom is being imparted. Your financial condition is being transformed. I am blessing your family with unity that replaces the division that has fractured your household. Conflicts are being resolved. Prodigals are being pursued. Generational patterns of dysfunction are being broken. Your family is becoming vessel for my redemptive power. I am blessing your future with purpose that replaces the confusion that has paralyzed your movement. Direction is becoming clear. Calling is being confirmed. Meaning is being revealed. Your future is coming into focus with definition that enables decisive action. Now let me speak about the inheritance that belongs to you as my child, and the fullness of what that inheritance contains. You are not poor beggar hoping for scraps from a reluctant master. You are beloved child with legitimate claim to everything that belongs to your father. The inheritance that awaits you is vast beyond calculation and available for appropriation through faith. Your inheritance includes authority that has been delegated to you for use in this life. The same authority that Christ exercised over sickness, over demons, over circumstances, has been given to those who believe in his name. You are not powerless victim of forces you cannot resist. You are authorized agent of the kingdom with power to change what needs to be changed. Your inheritance includes provision that has been prepared for your every need. The God who owns cattle on 1,000 hills, who spoke galaxies into existence, who counts the hairs on your head, has committed to supply everything you need according to his riches and glory. Your needs are not burden to me. They are opportunity for my provision to demonstrate its sufficiency. Your inheritance includes wisdom that is available for every decision you face. The confusing choices that have paralyzed your movement can be navigated with guidance that I have promised to those who ask. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives generously to all without finding fault. This promise is not empty words. It is guarantee that wisdom is available when you seek it. Your inheritance includes strength that is provided for every weakness you experience. My strength is perfected in your weakness. When you are weak, then you are strong, because my strength flows through the places where your strength has failed. Do not fear your weakness. It is the doorway through which my strength enters. Your inheritance includes peace that surpasses understanding. The chaos that has characterized your internal experience is not your permanent condition. Peace is available that guards your heart and mind, that remains stable when circumstances suggest panic would be more appropriate. This peace is not produced by favorable circumstances. It is produced by relationship with me that remains constant regardless of what circumstances contain. Your inheritance includes joy that is independent of circumstance. The happiness that the world offers depends on things going well. But the joy that I give remains even when things go poorly. This joy is my strength operating in your experience, providing energy for the journey regardless of how the journey unfolds. Your inheritance includes hope that death itself cannot destroy. The future that awaits you extends beyond the grave into eternity that never ends. What you cannot accomplish in this life will be accomplished in the life to come. What remains broken here will be made whole there. What continues painful here will become painless there. Hope that is anchored in eternity cannot be destroyed by anything that happens in time. Claim your inheritance. Do not live as though the promises I have made are uncertain or unavailable. They are certain. They are available. They await your appropriation through faith that believes what I have spoken and acts accordingly. The inheritance is yours. Take possession of what belongs to you. Now let me speak about the love that motivated everything I have declared in this message, and that motivates everything I do in your life. My love for you is the foundation beneath every other truth. Before there was abundance, there was love. Before there was blessing, there was love. Before there was anything at all, there was love. And that love has always included you. I loved you before you were born. Before you drew your first breath, I had already decided to love you with love that would never fail and never end. Your existence is not accident. It is intention rooted in love that wanted you to exist so that love could flow toward you and through you. I loved you through every season of your life. Through the seasons you remember with joy and the seasons you would rather forget. Through the seasons of obedience and the seasons of rebellion. Through the seasons of closeness and the seasons of distance. My love remained constant when your circumstances were constantly changing. I love you now in this moment as you receive these words. Not because of what you have done or become, but because of who I am and what I have decided. My love for you is not based on your performance. It is based on my character that is love itself expressing itself toward you. I will love you forever, into eternity that stretches beyond anything time-bound imagination can conceive. The love that has been pursuing you will never stop pursuing you. The love that has been sustaining you will never stop sustaining you. The love that has been transforming you will never stop transforming you. Forever. Let this love become the reality that shapes how you experience everything else. When difficulty comes, let it come against the backdrop of being loved by the God who controls galaxies. When failure comes, let it come within the context of relationship with one whose love does not depend on your success. When fear threatens, let it threaten someone who is wrapped in love that fear cannot penetrate. You are loved, completely, eternally, unconditionally. Nothing can change this. Nothing can diminish this. Nothing can end this. The love of God for you is the most reliable reality in your existence. Build your life on it. Rest your soul in it. Let everything else be understood in light of it. Now let me speak about the response that everything in this message requires from you. I have spoken much. I have declared abundance, breakthrough, transformation, provision, healing, purpose, identity, and love. But declaration alone does not produce change. Your response to what has been declared determines whether it becomes reality in your experience. Believe what I have spoken, not with intellectual agreement that acknowledges the words without expecting them to change anything. Believe with faith that receives what has been declared and expects manifestation to follow. The promises I have made are not empty. They are seeds that produce harvest when planted in soil of faith. Receive what I am offering. Open your hands, your heart, your life to the abundance that is being poured out. Do not let unworthiness close the door that my grace has opened. You do not deserve what is being given. No one does. That is why it is called grace. Receive the gift without the self-condemnation that would refuse what love is offering. Act on what you have heard. Faith without works is dead. What you believe must be expressed through action that aligns with what you claim to believe. If you believe transformation is happening, act like someone who is being transformed. If you believe abundance is coming, act like someone who expects to receive. Your actions reveal your actual beliefs more accurately than your words. Share what you have received. The blessing that has come to you was never meant to terminate with you. It was designed to flow through you toward everyone your life touches. When you share, you do not diminish what you have received. You multiply it in ways that blessing hoarded could never achieve. Persevere when manifestation is delayed. The enemy will attempt to steal the seed through doubt that questions whether what you heard was actually real. He will point to circumstances that seem to contradict what was declared. He will whisper that nothing has really changed. Resist these lies. Hold fast to what you have received. The manifestation is coming for those who do not give up. Now let me speak final words of commissioning as this message reaches its conclusion. You have received much tonight. What you do with what you have received will determine whether it produces the fruit I intend. The seed has been planted. The soil has been prepared. The question now is whether you will cultivate what has been deposited. Go from this encounter changed by what you have experienced. Do not allow the concerns that filled your mind before you began to reclaim territory that this message has captured. The worries that dominated your thinking have been addressed by truth that is more powerful than worry. The fears that controlled your emotions have been confronted by love that is stronger than fear. Do not return to what you have been delivered from. Go with confidence that I have equipped you for everything this new season requires. You are not being sent unprepared into circumstances that exceed your capacity. The preparation has been adequate. The equipping has been sufficient. The provision has been arranged. Everything you need for everything you will face has already been secured. Walk in confidence rather than anxiety. Go with awareness that you are accompanied by presence that never leaves. I am not sending you alone into the challenges that await. I go before you to prepare the way. I walk beside you to provide companionship. I stand behind you to protect from rear attack. I dwell within you to empower from the inside out. You are never alone because I am always with you. In every circumstance, at every moment, through every challenge, my presence accompanies you. Go with gratitude for what you have received tonight. Let thanksgiving be your immediate response to the encounter that has occurred. Do not take for granted the words that have been spoken into your spirit. Many have never heard what you have heard. Many have never received what you have received. The privilege of this encounter deserves grateful acknowledgement that recognizes its value. Go with determination to share what you have received. The blessing that came to you tonight was never intended to terminate with you. It carries within it multiplication potential that activates when sharing occurs. Find someone who needs what you have received and give it to them. The investment of sharing returns dividend to your own soul while blessing the soul of another. Go with faith that believes the promises are true even before manifestation provides evidence. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The evidence you need is not in circumstances that have not yet changed. The evidence is in the character of the one who made the promises. I do not lie. What I have spoken, I will perform. Trust my character while you wait for circumstance to catch up with what I have declared. Go with patience that does not demand immediate results. The transformation I have promised unfolds according to timing that I control for purposes I understand. Your job is not to determine the pace of manifestation. Your job is to maintain faith while manifestation progresses at the pace I have determined is best. Patient faith demonstrates trust that anxious demanding cannot. Go with joy that does not depend on circumstances aligning with your preferences. The joy I give is not happiness that requires things to go well. It is strength that sustains regardless of how things go. Let this joy be your experience even when circumstances remain challenging. Joy in difficulty is one of the most powerful testimonies you can offer to a watching world. Go with peace that guards your heart and mind. From the anxiety that wants to reclaim territory this message is captured. The peace I give is not absence of challenge, but presence of stability within challenge. Let this peace rule in your heart, acting as arbiter that decides what gains access and what is denied entry. Go with hope that looks forward to the future I am building for you. The plans I have are plans for good and not for evil. Plans to give you a future and a hope. Let this hope anchor your soul against the waves that will attempt to move you from confidence in what I have declared. Hope anchored in me cannot be destroyed by anything that happens around you. Go with expectation that the breakthrough I have declared is actually happening. Do not doubt what you have heard. Do not question what you have received. Do not allow the enemy to steal the seed that has been planted in your heart. What I have spoken, I will perform. What I have promised, I will fulfill. Expect the manifestation of what I have declared. Go with commitment to share what you have received with others who need the same encounter. The blessing that has come to you was never meant to terminate with you. It was designed to flow through you toward everyone in your sphere of influence. When you share, you multiply. When you give away what you have received, you discover that you have more rather than less. Be generous with the blessing I have generously given. Go with the assurance that I go with you. You are not being sent alone. The presence that has touched you in this message accompanies you into everything that follows. I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Not sometimes present and sometimes absent. Always present. continuously available, perpetually attentive. You are never alone because I am never absent. Go with my love surrounding you like atmosphere that you breathe without conscious awareness of its presence. My love is not occasional gift that comes and goes. My love is constant environment that pervades every aspect of your existence. You are wrapped in love that nothing can penetrate and nothing can diminish. Let that love be the reality that shapes how you experience everything else. The season of abundance has arrived. Your soul has been prepared. Your heart is ready. The time of breakthrough is not coming. The time of breakthrough is here. I am your Father who has loved you from before time began. I am your God who has all power to accomplish what I have promised. I am your companion who will never leave you or forsake you. Rest in my love. Trust in my power. Walk in my purposes. Everything is about to change because you have encountered me in this moment. Go forward into the abundance that awaits you. Go forward into the breakthrough that is already yours. Go forward into the future I have prepared for you. Go forward knowing you are loved completely, equipped fully, and accompanied constantly. Remember what you have received in this sacred encounter. Do not let the busyness of ordinary days erase the truth that has been deposited in your spirit. Return to these words when doubt attempts to undermine what faith has received. Let them remind you of who you are and whose you are when the enemy whispers lies that contradict what I have declared. Stand firm when the shaking comes. Everything that can be shaken will be shaken, so that what cannot be shaken may remain. But you are anchored to the rock that cannot be moved. The foundation beneath you is not circumstance that changes, but covenant that endures. When everything around you seems unstable, remember that everything beneath you is eternally secure. Do not be moved by what you see with natural eyes. Walk by faith that perceives what natural sight cannot detect. The kingdom that is advancing on your behalf operates according to principles that transcend physical reality. What looks like defeat may be disguised victory. What appears as delay may be divine timing. What seems like nothing happening may be everything being arranged for breakthrough that exceeds imagination. Declare with your mouth what you believe in your heart. The words you speak carry creative power that shapes the reality you experience. Speak life. Speak blessing. Speak what I have spoken over you. Let your mouth agree with my declarations rather than contradicting them with words of doubt and defeat. This is my word to you this night. This is my promise that will never fail. This is my love that will never end. Receive it. Believe it. Live it. Amen.